Hello you all, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being a part of this channel if you are subscribed. And I just wanted to this video is basically about rushing things. So I have a lot of people that are like, how do I get started? What do I need to do? And when I tell them, they're like, okay, I'm gonna apply for my license right now. And I just want to tell you to pump your brakes. Pump your brakes, okay? As long as you have the application and you can see what's necessary, I've went through what's necessary to apply for your license and what's on the application. I'm going to say fill it out, have everything that you need, but pump the brakes because it's a whole lot of stuff to get into after that. And not only that, but my purpose, if you go back to my first video, I go into all of that, but I don't want to work for somebody else. I want to cut the middleman out. I want to be able to make more money and make, a better life for me and my children and get out of where we live and have a better and reliable car and, just all the things that I go through in my normal daily life. I want it to be better. And I can obtain that working for somebody else. I do pretty fine for myself. I've always have. However, I can do better. I can do more once I step out of somebody else's foot. Like they got their foot on my neck right now and they telling me, or at the time, they're telling me what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And even though, I'm not a contractor, I was an employee, and I went to school for these things. I was certified for these things, but they still tell you how to do your job and, things like that. And so it was just difficult for me. And not only that, but these jobs would ask for my opinion on things. So I'm like, well, how you going to tell me to do this or that and then turn around and ask me, how to do other things? I know you don't know what you're doing because you asking an employee what to do. So, it was just a lot for me personally. And I know everybody has their own story. So I suggest that you look into your story, your reason why, and keep that near and dear. Write it down, keep it so you can go back to it because you're going to need it. But we're doing this to get somebody else's foot off of our neck. It's uncomfortable, and that's just like the best way that I can explain it. However, once you get into it, you submit your application, you're getting licensed, you say you're licensed, but now it's time to go. Now it's time to work. You're licensed and you want to start getting your caregivers, you want to start getting your clients, and it's like it's go time. You know what I'm saying? And it's always going to feel like that, especially if you're coming from a place where I don't have much, but I know this is what I want to do and I'm going to put my all into it. If that's you, I'm going to say pump your brakes. Take a step back. And this is why I always tell people, check with your state first. Even though I tell you where to go, how to get there, how to fill out the application, what you need and all that. And you're like in your mind, okay, I went and checked this out. Everything she said is correct. I could just upload this and do it myself. Reach out to them because they're going to let you know what you need for your specific state. You can ask them more in-depth questions because I don't know, everything for every state. And not only that, but they change it as needed. And usually they implement new things every year. I don't have time to go and check for every single state. And so I let you guys know I'm from Illinois. My information is based on the state of Illinois. This is what I did. This is what I was told in Illinois. All my experiences from Illinois. I let you guys know that all the time. But I say that because before you even turn in your application, if you're asking me, what are the policy and procedures or what are the rules that you need to follow? You didn't read the website. You didn't reach out to them, and you have a lot of work to do. In this establishment, it's a lot of work to do. It's a lot of reading. It's a lot of compliance. It's a lot of action that needs to go behind everything that you do. It's a lot of work. Now, once you know what you're doing, it's easy because you know it. It's like once you know how to tie your shoes, you know how to tie it. You don't even think about it. You just tie them and you go on about your business. But prior to when you were learning how to tie your shoes, you were like, okay, was it loop and then twist, or was it loop the loop and then tie? Like you were confused until you got it. And this is very much so like that. So it's a lot of work that you need to put into it in the beginning to create your stable foundation. Okay, to make sure that as you grow, you don't have any cracks that's being formatted in your foundation. You need to work carefully and like take your time to build that foundation, to learn your craft and everything. So where my thought lies is, let's say you get your license, okay? You're paying on insurance. And I've heard this so many times. Oh, I've had my license for a whole year and I don't have any clients. I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. But why? What's going on? Did you rush to get the license? Did you rush for that accomplishment? Who was that for? Was that for you? Was that to show out? Like, what was that for? You have to go back and think about your reasons why and all of those things, because there's absolutely no reason why it should take you a year to get a caregiver and to get a client and to match them and to start generating revenue. Absolutely no reason why, especially if you're receiving help from somebody like myself, another business coach, a mentor, places like SCORE or whatever. You have people guiding you and helping you. There's no reason why. That's crazy to me. And I can say, even the things that I'm going through now, I'm juggling life and life and being a mom and other things. Like I said, I got car issues. Where I live at, there's issues here. Like, I'm juggling a lot, and I'm trying to keep up with making sure I eat, making sure I go to bed at night, making sure, it's a lot of things, and you have to know how to overcome those things. But I've been doing it for so long, I just said, look, I can't. This time right now, I need to take off for myself. And as I took that time off, I see things not going so good. And it's not right now, maybe like a month ago. I see things kind of slow down for me. So as you slow down, everything else is going to slow down. The more you work, the more everything else around you is going to work. The more effort that you put into it, the more everything else is going to come together. But once you get your license, you're paying for email address, you're paying for a website. You might be paying for an office. You might be paying for your insurance. So you're paying for all of these things for a whole entire year. That money could have went into marketing. That money could have went into a virtual assistant. That money could have went elsewhere to invest in your establishment to be a little bit more successful than you just paying on bills and not doing anything to generate revenue. So pump the brakes, figure out what's next. And I say that because while you're doing your application, while you're waiting on them, you should be working on policy and procedures, because that's what's next. While you're working on policy and procedures, you should be keeping track of, okay, what do I keep in the client's folder? What do I keep in the caregiver's folder? How long do I keep these things on file? Is it 12 months? Is it 2 years? Is it 2 years? Is it 5 years? You should be working on everything in there that they say. Just be prepared to create a policy about it. So some people are going through it and they're like, oh yeah, I know I need to be keeping up with infection control. Or, oh yeah, I know that I need to have an alternate administrator. Okay, they're telling you for a reason. Go ahead and get your policy created, because that's what it's telling you. If they're telling you need to have an alternate administrator, go ahead and start your document. I've given you guys that policy in a previous video before. So every single thing they list, they're listing it for a reason. I will say that they might have them separately or they might have them conjoined. So you might be looking in part A, B, C, and D, and that's all going to be on one policy. However, on another policy, you may have to have A from here, and then you may have to have a whole nother section, part B through Z. I don't know. I'm just making up an example. So you'll have to skip around. But as long as you know your rules and regulations, when it comes time to create those policies, you're going to be like, oh, okay, I know where that's at. And overall, it's just going to be easier for you. But definitely take notes. If it's telling you to do something, make sure you write it down. And once you reach the end, everything that you have written down, go back and make sure you have what's needed. So if it says if someone wants to cancel their services, you have to have that listed. They have to know how to do that. How do I cancel? How do I terminate my services? How do I modify my services? Can I do that? So if they're saying that you have to have it, create it, type it up, have it available. And I didn't try, and every state is different, so I'm not sure, but how about call them and ask them, can I have the list of policies that I need to create so I can get started? I didn't do that. I didn't ask. I was afraid to work ahead. I wanted to do only what they told me to do and nothing more, nothing less. I didn't want to be viewed as being difficult, or I don't know. I just wanted to take what they told me to do, complete that, turn it back in. And if they said, wait on us to give you the okay, and then we'll tell you what to do next, then that's what I did. That's just it. And it would have been nice. I won't say I wish, but it would have been nice if I would have asked, because that's one of the things, instead of just waiting around, I could have got started on that. I will say, and this is why maybe they will, maybe every state is different. I think I told you guys previously, I had formed a really nice relationship with the people that were helping me, that were taking the information for the licensing. So kind of before I actually got my application approved, the guy was like, you know what, I'm going to send this to you so you can start working on it. It seems like, you know, you're going to do great things. Like, he was very positive, and he sent me the policy and procedures early. So while I was waiting on my application to be approved, I was also working on my policy and procedures. So, and that's why, like, I was able to experience just sitting there and waiting and doing other work that really didn't matter at the time, or I didn't even know if I was going to end up changing this. I didn't know if I was doing it right. I just didn't know if this was going to be permanent, but I wanted to stay busy. I wanted to stay in the momentum. So I've experienced doing nothing. I've experienced doing work that probably didn't even matter. And I've experienced getting the policies done early. And, you know, it's very helpful, especially if you're in a state that says like 6 months, 18, something like that. If it takes that long for you to get licensed, it's very helpful if you go into this and you already know what's expected on your application. You get your application approved quickly. Then you already know what's expected for your policy and procedures. You get that done quickly, you know, and then you got your license. But I will say, maybe even before that, there's work that we do that's unnecessary. Okay, so you think in your mind, I'm really going to do this. I'm going to go into this, and I'm going to have this agency, and I'm going to do great things. I'm going to get licensed. I'm going to get my clients where, you know, I'm going to accept this and that private pay, and I'm going to apply for this as well. And you get ahead of yourself and you start buying computers, desks. You might go get an office. You don't even have a license. You don't even have the application filled out. You start buying printers, ink, pens, you know, you just start doing all these things. You start making employee applications when you don't even really know what it consists of, what needs to be on that form just yet. You start doing client agreements. You don't even know that one is necessary. For one, you don't even know that in the rules and regulations, they're going to tell you what needs to be in that agreement or contract. So just pump your brakes. Put these things in order. Take your time when you're developing them. And if you want to do anything like going out and buying a new computer or notebooks or printers and things like that, get your rules and regulations. Know them from top to bottom, back to front, cover to cover, however you want to say it. And start developing things based on your rules and regulations. because what's in there is never going to change. That is the bare minimum that your agency needs to follow in your state. And this, of course, is for regulated states. If you're not regulated, you still, I'm going to say, need some type of structure. And it's great to go off of any other state that is regulated. Just to have some type of structure, just to have something to kind of lean on, because these are in place to protect us and everybody overall, but these things are in place to protect us. It's just like when you go to a restaurant or a store or something, and as a customer, you're not satisfied and you say, is there a policy for that? Can I see your policy? Or people who are very quick to say, I'm calling corporate, or like, oh no. Even people who are like, I normally don't do this, but can I please have the number to corporate? And you just feel like something's not right. These things are in place to protect us. So now we're going to be on the other side of that. And if somebody is wanting to complain to the Better Business Bureau about you, or go to the state and complain about you or something like that, we have these things in place to protect us. So know them, study them. Have your policies and procedures created based on them. And I'm going to correct myself. It's not that they're never going to change, because they update them sometimes, they modify them, they take things out, they add things, they do what they need to do. But what I'm saying is, what I meant to say is, for the time being, that is what's mandatory. And that is the bare minimum that your agency needs to obtain a license. So with everything that you do, I'm going to say, create things based on your rules and regulations. As far as once you're licensed, you want to go into doing things in the community. Already have those things written out. Once I'm licensed and I go into the community, what are the things that I can look for? What are the places I can be established with? Who are the places? No, where can I volunteer? Have those things written down already. When I'm hiring, what type of positions am I hiring for? What is the difference between the positions? What is the pay difference between the positions? What type of work or job description am I going to expect from each position? Think about the clients. If I have a base rate, at what point do I charge more? Think about couples. There's husband and wife, they live in the same house. They're different. They require their own assistance. Look at this as example. What if they both need total care? You're definitely going to want to get paid for both of them. You're always going to want to get paid for both of them. But perhaps you do a certain discount because they're in the same home. You don't have to make multiple trips, or one can be taken care of by the same caregiver in the daytime and then the same caregiver in the afternoon, or something like that. So you might do a discount for that. Think about that. What does that discount look like to you? Think about how you're going to be answering your phone. Think about the phone service that you're going to use if you already don't have that, And these are the things that I help with in the 30-day challenge, or my one-on-ones, or my ongoing support service. I have these things already listed out for you in chapters. But think about those things if you're working solo or by yourself. These are things that are going to help you be successful, so that as soon as you receive your business license, you can go. You can go do what you need to do. You're not paying unnecessary bills for an amount of time. You're not even using the agency. You're not doing anything in the agency to grow, to gain revenue. So think about these things. Be 2 steps ahead, because it's going to help you in the long run. But also be mindful, okay? So you don't need to spend an entire year working on things to do after your license. You don't need to spend 6 months. This is just in the meantime, waiting on your application to be approved. These are the things you can be working on, okay? And when you reach out to them, don't be afraid to ask for the policy and procedures. While I'm waiting for this to be approved, I would like to study the rules and regulations. Can you point me in the direction of it? Which I told you where to find it. But so even if you know where to find it, even if you know some of the policy and procedures, and you feel like you can pull it out. It's just weird because I just looked at my computer and I'm actually on the website without even trying to be. If you feel like you can pull the policy and procedures out of the rules and regulations on your own, just call them to build that relationship, because even you being on the phone and then like, that's just how it was for me. I'm turning in my paperwork, and when I called or when I emailed, they knew exactly who I was. And that's just me. Like, everything I do, I call to get an understanding, especially if I'm putting my money into it. To me, my application was $1,500. That I love money. I like to stack. I don't like to look in my account and see anything depleted. So for me, it was like, and I kept counting every month that went by. I was like, well, technically, I haven't spent anything. And I had to keep telling myself that, like, I haven't spent anything yet, because the only thing missing is the $1,500, and I spent that on the licensing fee. So, you know, it's different for everybody. Some people are like, I invest that $1,500 and I don't care. And some people are like, I invested that $1,500 and I'm going to make this count. Like, you know, it's different for everybody. But you don't want to waste your time. And it is going to take a lot of time in the beginning, because you don't know what you're doing. And it's kind of, it could be scary, you know? So it could be very different for everybody, but definitely take your time working on things, focusing on things. I talked in another video about focusing and reading exactly what's there, exactly what they're telling you to do. Because sometimes when things got overwhelming for me, I would read, and in my mind, I understood what they were asking for, but in actuality, that's not what they were asking me. Like, when I got licensed, they were like, you know, we need to see that you know how to complete a background check verification. It's very different from running a background. You actually have to pay. Somebody somewhere has to pay to run a background check. If it's you, if you make your employees do it. But to run a background verification check is absolutely free. You can do it on your computer, and it takes 2 seconds. You know? And I heard that I needed to do a background check on someone. So just take your time, focus, don't get overwhelmed, read exactly what's there, take breaks when you need to, ask questions when you need to. And so from my understanding, so in Illinois, they don't say anywhere in the rules and regulations that they're going to help you so many times, and then after that you have to reapply, because obviously you're not getting it. So some people are afraid, like, I don't want to put the $1,500 up for my licensing fee, and then I don't know what I'm doing, because I don't want them to say, you need to start this process over. You don't know what you're doing, or something like that. Or if they don't get it in a certain amount of time, they have to start over. It doesn't say that in the rules and regulations, and they're not like that. They help you all the way through, and that's in Illinois. However, looking with 2 other clients, we found in the rules and regulations that if there's too much time being spent, if things have to keep coming back as, you know, like inconclusive, or, you know, they're not filling things out, maybe they should put non-applicable. If they keep getting the policy and procedures wrong, or the verbiage, like if things have to keep coming back as, no, we need you to redo this, then they make you start the process over. So your rules and regulations is going to tell you that. So just be mindful of that as well. And be mindful of their time. That licensing fee, you know, they do a lot. They're reading through every single agreement that you have, going through the checkbox to make sure that everything that's supposed to be there is there. Then when they get to the policy and procedures, that's really lengthy. Some people's policy and procedures are this big. Okay, that licensing fee is going towards the time that they're spending to make sure that your establishment is built on a amazing foundation, you know. So be kind, be mindful, do what you can, do your part. And that's what I wanted to say today. So if you're doing this and you're trying to hurry up and get the license, it will come. Slow down, pump your brakes, because you don't want to get the license and then be sitting there twirling your thumbs like, where should I start? What should I do? Like, you have all your policy and procedures, because that's what it took to get your license, and you have your license, and now you're just like, what do I do? Where do I go from here? You know, And I feel like as long as you're taking notes off of your policy and procedures, you'll be fine. Because what are the things that you need? You have your license, and in order to gain revenue, you need the clients and you need the caregivers. So when you say, where do I start? That's where you start. And so as long as you took notes, then you know how to go about getting your caregivers, getting your clients. You know what needs to be in those folders to be compliant. You know what goes in those folders for your satisfaction. So the state had their satisfaction in their rules and regulations, and now you have to focus on yours. You know, the state doesn't require much from an employee standpoint. Most of their requirements based on the clients. So for caregivers, you got a lot of work to put in on, for yourself. You got a lot to think about. So you can be thinking about a lot of that on your own. Your application. Are you going to have a form for availability? Put the start date on there. Detailed description, because some people just say I'm available from 7 to 3. This happened to me like last week, but this person turned everything in very quickly. But 7 to 3, what is that telling me? And so I'm looking for a caregiver, and I stopped and I said, you know what? I'm a client for the caregiver. And I said, let me ask her, when is her approximate preferred start date? She don't want to start till May 18th. So, it's good to start thinking about these things now. Do interviews, act these interviews out with yourself on FaceTime. I do a lot of things. I do a lot of things on my computer. I have an iMac. So I'll put up my FaceTime, or I'll look in the mirror and I'll talk to myself, even in the shower, even when I'm in my office and I'm bored and there's nobody in here. And I reenact these things okay, I'm going to be doing a face-to-face interview. I'm going to be doing a phone call interview today. How am I going to start it? What are the things that I want to point out? What are the questions that I want to ask? Start getting these things into perspective now. And these are some of the, this example that I gave you now, this is something that you could do even if you're busy and you're overwhelmed. You could do it in the shower. You could do it in the bath. You could do it in the car while you're on your way somewhere, and just be, getting used to it, getting used to hearing yourself speak these things, getting used to speaking in the community. So when you do fairs and things like that, or you're a vendor at somebody's event, you know exactly how to open that conversation. You know how to carry that conversation. You're knowledgeable. It's so much that you can work on, and the more you do in the beginning, the less work later on. And you want it to be less work later on, because you're going to be busy with other things. You're going to be busy keeping up with quality assurance. You're going to be busy with hiring. You're going to be busy with obtaining clients. You're going to be busy with doing home assessments. There's going to be other things that you're busy with. You don't want to be focusing on, oh, I should have did this in my policy and procedure. And that's fine, because they change and they're as needed, and maybe they were good for you in 2023, but in 2024, some things changed and you need to change your policy. Maybe a situation occurred, and now based on that situation, you need to update your policy. Those things are going to happen. But what I'm talking about is, you rush through your policy and procedures and you only did the bare minimum, and you didn't consider anything else personally wise, and now you feel like you need to go back and redo all of your policy and procedures. That is a huge task to take on when you're worrying about hiring people, when you're worried about interviews, when you're worried about quality assurance, when you're worried about the compliance in your office. So that's what I mean when I say really take your time from the beginning. This is your opportunity to have all your ducks in a row, especially when you're in contact with the state and they're letting you know this is approved, this is not approved. So utilize that time, and I can't stress it enough. But good luck on your journey. Thank you for trusting me with the information that I provide to you. And don't forget to take a look on the website. There's always something new on there. Take a look at the past videos if you haven't yet. My videos get good reviews, you guys. So if you haven't looked at the past videos, you might be missing out, okay? But in all, I thank you for being a part of this channel. Please like, comment if you have any questions that you want me to address, because lately I've been feeling like putting out videos, and I don't know if they're, I mean, I know they're helpful because your guys' comments, but if there's something else that I could be helping you on specifically, if you're stuck, if you are indecisive, if something's keeping you stuck, like, just let me know. I might create a dedicated video, or I might answer it in the comments for you. We have the Facebook group, we have the website, we have past videos on here. Check those out. I might be getting into some shorts later on if I can find the time, because there's been a lot of like just small key things that I want to remind you guys about. So I might get back into doing some of my shorts. But anyway, check out the past shorts. It just kind of helps you shift your mindset. And that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for being a part of this channel, and I will see you in the next video.